Welcome, and we'll start right off with a bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu l'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen.
And okay, let's get into the share. And we're on to a new subject, new chapter, new subject, and all following, though, logically from the narrative as it's proceeded. This is somewhat of a famous passage, and I will tell you that the Gemara uses this, the Talmud, the rabbis use this as an example of a full agreement with conditions. In other words, that it says what you will do, and it says what you won't do, and that's the way in which agreements are clarified. That's a full understanding of an agreement between two parties. So, setting the scene. Umekne Rav, a large amount of cattle, right? But it means sheep and cattle. Haya livnei Reuven ulivnei Gad. The children of Reuben and the children of Gad had a lot of cattle. Atzum ma'od, very, very mighty, a powerful amount. Vayiru et Eretz, and they saw, that is the children of Reuben and the children of Gad saw, et Eretz Yazer, they saw the land of Yazer, ve'et Eretz Gilad, and the land of Gilad, of Gilead. And this place, in fact, this area was an area for raising cattle, for raising sheep and cattle, livestock. To see what we have here, if there's anything more to say about this. I think, let me look and see if there's any Rashi. There's no Rashi on this. None. We'll get to verse 3, we'll see some Rashi. So the point, though, that I need to tell you is that this was on the east side of the Jordan. It was not part of the territory that had been promised to the patriarchs and that God had promised the Israelites. It was conquered, remember, when Og and Sichon, those two kings, came and attacked the Israelites, and they were defeated. And so now the land was available. Vayavu uvnei Gad uvnei Reuven, and the children of God, the descendants of God and the descendants of Reuven came. Vayomru el Moshe, and they said to Moses, ve'el Elazar haKohen, and to Elazar haKohen, ve'el Nesiei ha'edah lemor, and to the leaders of the community, saying, so quote, right? Just one thing to remark, one thing I noticed is we know that Aaron has passed, and we see that Elazar has taken over. He has followed him, succeeded him. But I think it's lovely that the text mentions Elazar. So it's already mentioned Elazar alongside Moses a number of times. And my sense emotionally, let's say, from that is to say that Elazar was just as worthy and fully installed as Aaron ever was. And that he had the full confidence of Hashem, he had the full confidence of the people, that he was a worthy successor, simply by mentioning him every single time alongside Moses, and especially when they go and mention the leaders of the community as well. So this is what the descendants of God and the descendants of Reuven said. Atarot, V'divon, V'yazer, V'nimra, these are all place names, so I'm not translating them. V'cheshbon ve'el Allah, and Cheshbon and El Allah, usavam and Savam, unevo and Nevo, uveon. All these place names, I think there are 9 of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so And Rashi's going to say, Itrot v'Divon v'Gomer, these place names. Me Eretz Sichon ve'og hayu. They were towns in the land of Sichon and Og, and that's how they came. So I believe that we're talking about Amorites. Amorites. Yes? Okay. Going on. Verse 4. Haaretz asher hika Hashem lifnei adat Yisrael, the land which the Lord smote, okay? I don't know of a more modern word there, before the community of Israel. Eretz miknehi, it is a land for livestock. Ula avadecha mikneh, and to your servants, there's mikneh, there's livestock. We have livestock. So this land is perfect, right? Perfectly suitable for raising livestock that we have so much of. So,
Rabbi,
yes.
instead of what you said, I have has conquered for the community.
Okay, thank you. Instead of
Okay, because I know you were
instead of
struggling with that.
smote. Yeah, no, I did. Thank
Smote.
you. Yes, smote. Wow, smitten. Yes.
This is so smitten.
It's an old word, but it's very descriptive, right? I mean, literally, lihika means to beat, right? To hit.
Yeah.
But the point that I wanted to make about this, though, is, excuse me, 1 second. I'm so sorry. I have to cough. It's what I have left of this cold I had. So not too bad, but unoccasionally, of course, at these moments, it says it. So the point that I wanted to make here is that the credit that the Israelites, that is the descendants of God and the descendants of Reuven and the descendants of God, give, that they don't say we beat. They said they put the credit where the credit belongs, and it's this this deep belief in the transcendent, right? That we don't deny that there is something that is beyond the normal workings of the universe, right? Or the observable to our senses, right? Our sensory observance of everything that goes on in the universe, that we need to be conscious, ever conscious of this transcendent level, that if we see, there is something that gives us that ability to see. If we think, there's something that gives us the ability to think, to be conscious, to speak, to that our lives are so intimately woven into the one that makes all these things possible. And it's absolutely universal. As you know, I have this lovely, beautiful, beautiful piece of property with a garden, and I am absolutely blown away. More, I mean, not that I wasn't conscious of it. I just think I'm more sort of existentially conscious that when you think of a seed and the size and the shape and the formation of that seed and all that information and all the different things that seeds are capable of doing. And of course, if you've done any gardening and if you've raised anything from seed, so for example, let's suppose I'm trying to think of an example, but let's put it this way. It's not so clear the difference between any citrus seed, and look at the different kinds of citrus plants there are, and while they obviously have something in common, they also have such a distinction in flavor and other kinds of deals, and just blown away with the variety and the various expressions of vegetation, and to think that there is something that, while the development of it we might be able to account for it in a scientific kind of way, nevertheless, again, if we're going to look at it from what I think is a biblical perspective, we would have to say that nevertheless there is a transcendent level in which these things were made in such a way that they function the way they function. That we may be able to deconstruct them and deconstruct the processes, but at some point in the line, we get to a point where there is something we can consider, something that makes these things possible, which is not scientifically explicable. And here it's just on a very straightforward level, because we know, if you study history, you look at what just happened recently. Russia thought it was going to go and walk over Ukraine. They never imagined that the war would last as long. I mean, we look at the American Civil War and the fact that it took far greater toll than anyone ever imagined. So just, you never know. You never know. You go into these situations. At any rate, let's continue. Here, Vayomru, and they said, in other words, they continued to say, the descendants of Reuven and Gad, if we have found favor, grace in your eyes. Yutan is a passive form. Et haaretz hazot la'avadecha la'achuza. Let this land be given to your servants as a holding. In other words, let this be our share in the land of Israel, right, in the promised land. Al ta'avirenu et hayarden. Do not cause us to cross over the Jordan, because the land that had been promised was on the other side of the Jordan. So let's see, we still got one more to do. Vayomer Moshe, and Moses said, Livnei Gad, to the descendants of Gad, Ulivnei Reuven, and to the descendants of Reuven. And I want to check something, because we know that Reuven was born before God. And so let's just take a look. Let's see. So it's interesting, right? Just a little point here. So God is preceding Reuven there up earlier on. And here, look at this. In the beginning, it says Reuven before God, right? Just saying how they had a lot of livestock. But then it's putting God in front of Reuven in that next sentence. And I suspect, let's take a look. Okay. And when Moses is talking to them, he's talking to the children. It mentions the children of God first, and then the children of Reuven. And I would suspect that would suggest, of course, that perhaps the real initiation of this whole idea perhaps came from God, and Reuven went right along with it. So let's go on. So this is what Moses says to them. This hey here, which hey at the beginning of a word, usually means the. But notice that the vowel it's still a patach. So that's normally the way the hey ayidiah is punctuated. But we'll see Rashi. So ha'achechem yavo'u lamilchama. So it's not a declarative sentence, and Rashi's going to point that out, right? Because it could be understood. Your brothers will come to battle, v'atem teshvu po, and you will remain here. And Rashi is going to comment, okay? Ha'achechem. He says, lashon tmiyahu, that this is in fact a language of, you might say, surprise. So in a sense, it's more of an interrogative by saying, shall your brothers, right? Shall your brothers come and engage in battle, in warfare, while you remain here? And now we have a word that obviously, lama, the word lama means why. So we know for sure this is a question, right? And Moses goes on to say, V'lama tani'un et lev b'nei Yisrael. Why should you turn away? This is Safaria's translation. Why should you turn away the heart of the children of Israel? We'll take a look at Rashi in a sec. Me avor el haaretz, to cross over into the land, asher natan, which lahem Hashem, which God has given them. So this is, you can hear that Moses is quite concerned about this happening, and he is ultra sensitive to this possibility. V'lama taniun. So this word taniun in some ways means move, right? To move something. And Rashi explains tasiru, and he says that means to remove. V'tamniu, and turn aside, libam. In other words, to change or to change their hearts. Why do tasiru libam would mean to give them reason to fear, right? To make them frightened. But tamniu libam means to make them change their minds. Me'avor, from crossing over. And Rashi gives a beautiful clarification. Sheyiyu sfurim, because they're going to be convinced. She'atem yireim, or they're going to be of the opinion, they're going to hold an opinion, they're going to think, she'atem yireim, that you are frightened, you are afraid, la'avor, to cross over, mipnei, why? Hamilchama, on account of having to wage war, v'chozek ha'arim, and the strength of the towns, the cities, v'ha'am, and the people, the inhabitants. That your doing this is going to make them feel this way. It's going to convince them again, once again, as we had the tragedy that in fact Tisha B'Av, the fast day that's coming up rapidly, commemorates, was this incident back in Shlach Lecha 40 years earlier, where they had sent the 12 spies and they had come back with that report and told them they would never make it, and the Israelites then lost heart, etc. So why are you making them lose heart? So he goes on, Moses goes on. Ko asu avotechem, thus did your fathers do. Now remember, this is the next generation he's speaking to. That one generation, in fact, has passed on in the 40 years of wandering. And so he's now talking to the next generation. Besholchi otam, this is his, these fathers, when I sent them mikadesh barnea, from Kadesh Barnea, lirot et haaretz, to scout out the land. Right? Rashi, Mikadesh Barnea, and he says Kachshma, that's the name of this place, was Kadesh Barnea. Ushne Kadesh Hayu. So what Rashi's telling us is there are actually two different places that are referred to as Kadesh, possibly this one known as Kadesh Barnea, and the other one maybe just known as Kadesh. I can't think offhand right now of a different Kadesh, but there were two different places. Okay, going on now for a bit. Vaya'alu, so he's reviewing the history with them, right? Vaya'alu ad Nachal Eshkol, they went up until the Wadi of Eshkol. Vayiru et haaretz, and they saw the land. Vayaniu, there's this word, right? And they moved et lev, that is, right? They convinced otherwise. They changed the hearts of Bnei Israel, of the children of Israel. The viltivor, not to come, ela aretz, into the land, asher natan lehem Hashem, which Hashem had given them. Notice this phrase, asher natan lahem Hashem, and I believe if we go, look at this, asher natan lahem Hashem. So interesting, right? That this is repeated. We were saying this twice. It's not so. So is it totally unnecessary? Do we really need this phrase? And again, trying to analyze it and ask why repeated. Well, here's the point. If someone gives you a gift and you reject the gift, what are you communicating? Emotionally, what are you telling that person? So rejecting a gift is a way of insulting someone. And you may not mean to, and if you need to be very careful, of course, we all need to, right? If we don't care for the gift. That's part of gifting. And I think that's the reason for repeating this. That not going in when God has given this to them is a rejection of God. It's insulting to the divine. Let's keep going, right? Just want to make sure, right? We've got another one. Okay. So we're here. Vayichar af Hashem, and the anger of the Lord was kindled by Yom Hahu on that day. Vayishava lemor, and God swore, saying, took an oath, saying, Im yiru ha'anashim. This is the language of an oath, right? If, literally in Hebrew, it means if ha'anashim, the people ha'olim mitzrayim, which come up from Egypt, will miben isrim shana v'mala, from 20 years old and upwards. And this is where the verb yiru, if they will see, et ha'adama, the land, asher nishbati la'avraham, which I swore to Abraham, LeYitzchak uLeYaakov, and to Isaac and Jacob. Ki lo milu acharai, for they did not fully follow me. They didn't fully follow me. They were not complete in their serving me, their trusting me, their following me. So, of course, this is put positively. In English, we would say in the sense that they will never, right? Here in Hebrew, the way it's expressed is if they will see means simply they will never see. Let's make sure, again, I just want to make sure we're doing all the Rashis. Moses is saying quite a mouthful to them, right? Bilti Kalev ben Yefuneh HaKenizi, except for Kalev, the son of Yefuneh, the Kenizzite, Yeshua ben Nun, and Joshua, the son of Nun, Ki mil'u acharei Hashem, because they were full, literally, right? They fully followed God. They fully went after God. Hakenizi. So I was wondering about this word too, right? Kenizzite. What are we talking about, right? Caleb, the Kenizzite? So he says, Chorgo shel Kenaz. I believe Chorgo means son-in-law of Kenaz Haya. He was the son-in-law of Kenaz. V'yalda lo imo shel Kalav et Otniel. Let's take Chorgo. I'm going to say not son-in-law, stepson. Let's say stepson of Kenaz. V'yalda lo imo, and his mother bore him. I'm going to imagine Kenaz, Shel Kalev, Kalev's mother, et Otniel. So Otniel, I believe, was the full son of Kenaz, but Kalev was, I think he means stepson, right? So he had his mom was but he was from a previous marriage. Let's keep going. All right. Vayichar af, Moses going on. He's not finished. Vayichar af Hashem b'Yisrael, and the Lord's anger was kindled against the Israelites, against Israel. Vayni'em bamidbar, and he caused them. He led them around the wilderness, Arba'im Shana, right? He made them wander around the wilderness for 40 years, Ad Tom Kol Hador, until the entire generation came to an end, Ha'oseh hara b'einei Hashem, who had done this wickedness in the sight of God. So Rashi again taking some more difficult Hebrew words and translating them for us, right? And he vayataltalem. He took them, right? He took them. Min na v'nat. He says this vaini'em is from a root that is similar to na v'nat, a fugitive and a wanderer, as I think. This is, of course, Cain's curse, right? The curse of Cain. Sfarim acherim, he says, the other manuscripts, versions that say vatiltalem, right, that he took them, v'na, just simply saying in this idea of, and when it says fugitive, I just think the idea is that you're constantly on the move, not necessarily that you're always being attacked necessarily, but that you can't be secure in one place. Going on. Vehine, again, Moses continuing. Vehine kamtem, and behold, right? Indeed, kamtem, you have arisen, tachat avetechem, in the place of your fathers, tarvut anashim chataim, a group of wicked human beings, wicked people, sinning people, lispot od al charon af Hashem el Yisrael. And I believe it means to add more to Hashem's anger towards Israel. Again, this is lispot. And he says, and Golda, if you have a translation that you feel is more helpful,
it's similar. It works the same way. Okay. Still further to the Lord's wrath against Israel. So
So thank you.
Yeah, it's about the same.
Thank you. Okay, so tell me the word because I didn't hear it.
To add, as you said,
right,
still further to yes, because God's already mad at us. So yeah.
Well, he was before.
He will continue to be mad.
Yeah,
there you go.
I suppose so. Right. So anyway, Rashi's giving us an example. Isaiah 29. Right. Again, Rashi knows the Bible so well.
And we are all sinful anyway. So
Right.
But some are more sinful than others, I guess.
Well, but the other thing is some are provoking. Okay.
Yeah.
It's one thing. Look, we do, in some ways, we do the best we can. And because of our lack of understanding or 101 other reasons, we are not perfect. Okay.
Yeah. But no spoilers, because we got to get to the next part because it's great.
Yes, it is. And I'm afraid we may be out of luck, but okay, let's keep going a little bit. So he quotes Isaiah 29, Safu Shana al Shana. He says, so it sounds like add 1 year to the next. And then also Jeremiah chapter 7, Olotechem Safu. So I think this is Jeremiah speaking ironically to the people, sort of saying, add, heap up your olot, your burnt offerings, as if you think by bringing offerings, your behavior and your lack of justice is going to satisfy God. God's going to be appeased by it. So he says, Lashon, this is an expression, tosefet. It's an expression of addition, right? Of adding things, one through another. Going on. All right. Okay. Ki teshuvun me'acharav, because you will be returning from following him. V'yasaf od lahanicho bamidbar, and he will continue further to cause you to wander, to cause the Israelites, it's third person, in the wilderness. Okay, or the key means if, right? If, because in fact, if you turn around, right, from following God, God will cause further to, he will go ahead and cause you to wander in the wilderness, and you will destroy this entire people. See what the Rashi is on this. I'm seeing nothing there. Okay, going on. Vayigshu elav vayomru. So this is the children of God and the children of Reuven. They came over to him. They went over to him and they said, Gidrot son. Gader is actually a fence, right? Sheepfolds. Nivne lemiknenu. We will build sheepfolds for our flocks, for here, for arim letapenu, and cities for our children. And let's see what Rashi has to say. Look at this. Nivle lemiknenu por. We will build for our flocks here, or our livestock here. Okay. Look at this. Chasim hayu al mamonam, they were more concerned about their property, yoter mibnehem, more than their children, uvnotehem, that is to say, their sons and their daughters, shehikdimu miknehem the because they mentioned their livestock before their children. Amar lahem Moshe, Moses said to them, Lo chen asu. Okay, lo chen. Okay, this is not right, he said. Asu ikar, make the main thing the main thing. V'hatafel, tafel, and the secondary thing, secondary. So interesting, right? Human nature. And so he says, Benu lachem tchila arim letapchem. First of all, build cities for your children. V'achar kach gidrot letzonchem, gderot letzonachem or tzonchem, and sheep and folds for your sheep. Let's see what we can do here. Here we are. So at any rate, here it says, "Va'anachnu nechaletz chushim tifnei bnei Yisrael," and we will gird ourselves, chushim lifnei Yisrael, armed before the children of Israel, ad asher im havionum el makomam, until you have brought them to their place. Vayashav tapenu ba'arei hamivtzar, and our children will dwell in fortified cities, mipnei yoshvei haaretz, on account of the inhabitants of the land. Okay, and the idea here is that they would form a foreguard. They would go ahead in the front, the forefront. Let's see, Rashi here. Yes. Right? Chash means quickly, right? We will arm ourselves. Nizdayin I'm trying to see if I can mehirim, right? We will arm ourselves quickly. And he says, as in Isaiah chapter 8, Maher Shalal, yes, the famous phrase, right? The booty is quick, chash baz. Again, it's these two. This is exactly saying the same thing. Chash and Maher means quickly. Baz, of course, is also the spoil, right? The booty is quick and the spoil is speedy. Yimaher Yachisha, right? Yachisha will hurry, will speed. Yachisha will hurry. Lifnei bnei Israel, before the children of Israel. Berashei Gayasot, at the head of the troops. Mitoch shegiburim haya, and Rashi explains, indeed, the children of God and the children of Israel of Reuven, they were strong men. They were very powerful men. Shekain ne'emar begad, as it states regarding the tribe of God in Deuteronomy 33, right? This is, I believe, Moses' blessing before he departs the world to the Israelites. The terif zroa over taraf zroa afkakod, and he tears the arm along with the head. Okay, so could be like with a stroke of a sword, if you can imagine diagonally. V'af Moshe Chazar upiresh lahem. Okay, and Moses Chazar, he went back and explained to them be'ela hadvarim, in the book, in Deuteronomy, in chapter 3, Sham Gimel. V'atzu etchem ba'etahi. V'atzav etchem ba'etahi, and I commanded you at that time, etc. V'gomer. Chalutzim ta'avor, etc. He goes on to say back or rather forward in Deuteronomy, he's saying, Chalutzim ta'avoru lifnei achechem. You shall pass over, and a chalutz is like a scout or the shock troops, right, before your brothers, Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, Kol Bnei Chayil, all of your strong forces. Uve Yerucho Kativ, and with regards to the capture of Jericho, it says in Joshua chapter 6, the Hachalutz holich lifnehem, and the shock troops went before them. Reuven and Gad shekaimu t'naam. This is referring to Reuven and Gad, the tribes of Reuven and Gad, who fulfilled their condition. Vayashav tapenu, and our children will remain, but ordenu etzel achenu, as long as we are with our brothers. Ba'arei hamifsar, in the fortified cities, shen yivneh achshav, that we are going to build now, and we will have to stop right. Well, let me see if I can just do. Sorry, because I have a few more verses, but can I get them done? It looks like I have more Rashi, and we're well past 8 o'clock, so I will have to stop here.
How's the tie-in with Halutzim?
So we lachalotz. I think it, in a way. I mean, lachalotz. I'm trying to think, because I think when you take off your shoes or something, I think it's called lachalotz naal or something like that. We talk about chalitza, right? The removal
about calling settlers in Israel before it
was.
was
Pioneers, the ones who go first. What's a pioneer? Someone who goes first. Yes.
Weren't we using that same verb or not?
The same noun. Yes, we were. We absolutely same root. Yes, Judith, absolutely. It means someone who is a forerunner, right? I think, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of the associations that I have with it. So I'm going to stop here and stop the share and stop the recording. And that's